This episode is sponsored by Calm and by Feels.
The tech business, more than any other industry today, is known for its founders and executives. In previous eras, guys like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, and William Randolph Hearst were as rich as they were well known, but these days those names have been replaced by names like Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg. I mean, can you name the CEO of General Motors, AT&T, ExxonMobil? No, you can't, or probably not, but you can almost certainly name the founder and CEO of Twitter.com, Jack Dorsey, who, update, announced this week that he is stepping away from the company that he founded 16 years ago.
This is actually the second time that Dorsey has left Twitter. After co-founding the company in 2006, he left in 2008 to start the mobile payments company Square, while remaining as chairman of Twitter's board. But then he returned as CEO in 2015. And he's actually been CEO of both Square and Twitter for the last 6 years, which is kind of nuts. We've talked about people using work from home to secretly double dip 2 jobs at once. But Jack Dorsey was openly running 2 completely separate companies at the same time, and both companies were okay with this, and both companies were rising and growing extremely fast.
Yeah. You look at this guy, you're like, him? Really? But
well, and that's why, you know,
trust in him.
The names that you know are because, and even the names from like Henry Ford, Rockefeller, they all put themselves out there on purpose, whether it was because they were eccentric or narcissistic. So the reason that you don't know someone like the CEO of ExxonMobil is because it's in their best interest for people to not know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
That's much better for business in a lot of scenarios. But with tech, it's like, oh, Steve Jobs and fucking
Bill Gates.
They blazed the trail of being like, the company needs a figurehead.
Yeah.
And so that we're seeing just the replication of that.
Yeah,
so
it's all part of the same lineage.
Yeah.
But what's even more notable about Jack Dorsey than the fact that he had 2 jobs is the fact that Jack Dorsey is a really weird dude.
Yeah.
Like, compare Jack to Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos, 2 guys who have tried to cultivate the most normie personas possible and just really leaned into being the faces of their companies. Meanwhile, Jack Dorsey has spent the last few years looking like Rasputin.
Yeah.
He barely ever even uses his own company's platform to share his thoughts on anything. And his few public appearances on behalf of his companies have been congressional hearings where he just clearly does not give a shit and probably would much rather be engaging in his other hobbies, which include meditating for hours at a time, eating only 1 meal a day, microdosing on LSD, and dating a long string of very attractive women that's almost on par with Pete Davidson. He's the tech world's Pete Davidson.
Yeah, and
really?
That's what, when you look at someone like Zuckerberg and you're like, you can tell he is trying so hard to act normal or look normal or be perceived as normal. Jack doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He is what everyone probably would be if they had $1 billion. Just a fucking weirdo who travels and meditates.
Yeah. Jack, you got a investor call, man.
Oh God.
Shit.
So, but hey, there's nothing wrong with being eccentric if you're really good at your job, though. It's hard to tell if that's even the case.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter's always been kind of a huge mess. And for a long time, extremism and harassment ran wild on there with little to no TOS enforcement. Also, Dorsey's resignation letter is really vague about his reasons for leaving Twitter, but his job has apparently been at risk for a while, ever since a hedge fund called Elliott Management Corp.
God damn it.
Yeah. You're bringing NFTs to Twitter. Thanks, Elliott.
Yeah.
Ever since they bought a stake in Twitter and have openly been about the goal of replacing Dorsey as CEO because he wasn't growing the company as quickly as they wanted.
Yeah.
And some might say that was because he was perceiving the very simple yet perfect idea of what Twitter actually was.
Well, it's like, why does something like Twitter have to grow?
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously a social network's going to get growth in like the first couple of years, but like, you can't have infinite growth.
Yeah, and you also can't make it, you can't force it to be something that it's not.
Twitter's not going to fucking start a metaverse project to compete with Facebook. Like,
well, you're speaking too soon now that Dorsey's out of the picture.
You can barely, even like video hosting, posting a video tweet takes forever. They had fleets for like a month and they're like, well, no one's using this shit.
The funniest, it was years ago now, pre-pandemic times, was one of the Kardashians posted a video to Twitter and was like, this sucks. Look how bad the quality is. I didn't upload it like this.
Yeah. No, I have gigabit internet at home, and like posting a short video clip to Twitter takes like 5 minutes. It's faster to upload an entire episode of this show to YouTube than it is to upload a 2-minute shitty clip.
But
Twitter.
that was the charm that Twitter has had. I mean,
it's
I'm not on it anymore, but I got what it was and I enjoyed it while I was there.
It might be a shithole, but it's my shithole.
Exactly. Yeah. Now if I even glance at Twitter, I have an anxiety attack.
Yeah. Well, it's like Facebook sucks for a number of reasons, but like a big one is like every time you go there after being away for a while, it's just like sensory overload. There's so many fucking buttons and things to do. It's like I just want to see posts. And like, yeah, Twitter, it's like, it would ruin the charm if they did that.
Kept it simple. Facebook looks ugly as shit.
Yeah.
It's like they oversimplified it to the point where it became really confusing. But anyways, maybe Jack got tired of having all of this pressure over his head, and he decided that he'd just rather leave on his own terms than be pushed out of the company that he founded.
Yeah.
Or, as Casey Newton of The Verge argues, Jack might have just kind of been over Twitter. Which is okay.
Yeah. 16 years involved in this company in some capacity.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It should be a siren call to every other CEO, billionaire. It's fine to just leave.
Yeah. He's working his ass off at 2 companies. Meanwhile, all of his friends are starting their own weed brands.
Yeah.
Just printing money.
You get one life on this earth, and I don't understand why people want to spend it working all the time nonstop.
Yeah.
Especially when your product is Facebook.
Accumulating more money. And like I think Dorsey, he's another guy. I mean, like obviously he's a billionaire, but like it seems like he's one of those ones that just like doesn't even know what to do with his fucking money aside from like the basic luxuries you take.
Yeah, just
as
traveling.
a rich guy.
That's the thing is like he was someone who liked to travel, and now can't because of pandemic restrictions. So he's probably losing his fucking mind.
Well, yeah, he was another one of the reasons the Elliott group wanted him out was right before the pandemic hit. He's just like, yeah, so for 2020, I think I'm just gonna spend the whole year living in Africa just because I feel like it. I'll work remotely from Africa. And they're like, why? Is this? Are you doing like research and development? He's like, no, I just feel like living in Africa.
And he should be able to do that if he wants to, I guess.
Yeah.
But you and the other Elliots had a different idea.
I don't think so, Jack. Anyways, from that article, another explanation for Jack Dorsey leaving Twitter, which may or may not be related to Elliott Management Corp., is the relative lack of evidence that Jack Dorsey wanted to be CEO of Twitter. It is at least possible he woke up one recent morning and decided he wanted to leave. Here's a story about not really wanting to be CEO. I'm told Dorsey was ambivalent about the company's decision to build Fleets, its ephemeral product that mimics Snapchat stories. But he let the team launch it anyway at the end of last year. A while later, during an all-hands meeting, someone asked what he thought of the product. He basically shrugged, one person told me, quote, "It's not my thing." That was the gist. Dorsey's section of the Q&A was immediately followed by the Fleets team presenting their progress. When Twitter decided to kill Fleets this year, Dorsey, who may not have ever posted a public fleet, dispatched it with a tweeted waving hand emoji that some internally took to indicate good riddance. There are a lot of Dorsey stories like this. In the areas where he was most focused, product teams could expect lots of time, attention, and valuable feedback. In areas where he was not focused, teams could expect little to no feedback at all. He set the vision and let his deputies handle the rest. This had pros and cons, but it drove a lot of people crazy, particularly when teams were divided on the path forward and he refused to break the tie.
He was right. He should have more credit given to him for being right.
I don't know, it kind of sucks, but they want us to like build the product, so fucking do it.
This happened so much. We both have experience where it's just like you have to do something because it's your job, and you look at them and you go, this isn't gonna work, but we're gonna do it anyway because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
And
it's usually not the CEO, it's usually
backwards. Yeah.
The CEO's being like, no, you're gonna copy Snapchat stories. And they're like, it's not gonna work. You're like, no, you're gonna do it. But here it's Twitter employees being like, we're gonna copy Snapchat stories. And Jack's like, okay, seems like a dumb idea to me.
We have nothing to do. Great, enjoy your time.
Sure, whatever.
Why aren't you traveling or something? We got a real cushy gig here. Why are you trying to innovate? Anyways, that article also has this great line. There's a joke about Dorsey that says everyone at Twitter thought he was working more on Square, and everyone at Square thought he was working more on Twitter. This served to elide the question of how much he was working at all. And so that's like with Square, it's like, cool, you've actually reinvented and reinvigorated the archaic payment system that we've been that we've had since the invention of credit cards. You've actually changed something that we didn't know needed to be changed, but you did it anyway, and you did a great job. What else do you have left to innovate? Oh, nothing? Fine. You've done a great job. This is actually worth money. So he did, at the very least, help make Twitter profitable during his tenure and grow its user base. So again, not nothing.
Yeah, he did his job.
The flip side of that is that Square's growth in profits and users was much larger during that same period of time. Plus, Jack is a huge crypto guy going back all the way to the early days of Bitcoin, and Square's Cash App has Bitcoin built in and sounds like it'll be leaning into crypto even more going forward. So it makes sense why he might want to just go and focus on that full time and leave the Twitter shit behind. Again, Cash App was there at the right time, same with Venmo, and it's like...
But Venmo doesn't have a big building where gamers make content in it.
Well, that's because PayPal bought it.
Cash App has
the Cash App 100 Thieves
Cash App compound.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
So,
but the first order of business at Square for Jack Dorsey, now it's got his full undivided attention, is apparently changing the name from Square to Block. You get it? A block is a three-dimensional square, and also a reference to the blockchain.
Maybe I'm old internet, but that sounds like you're not wanting to have people around.
Block.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, we have not been paying attention too much to Square, but they apparently own Tidal now. I did not know this. They bought Tidal all the way back in March. Tidal is part of the Block umbrella of businesses. And another company under the Block umbrella is something called, this is literally the name, TBD 545666975. That was announced back in July. Apparently it'll be something having to do with cryptocurrency and financial services. They've got like a verified Twitter account. The description just says Bitcoin.
Okay.
And it's a company under Square that Jack Dorsey is apparently really excited about, but no one knows what it is yet.
Well, TBD
it's gonna be big, though.
Means to be determined. I know that much.
And the number is apparently some weird numerology thing. I don't know. I guess Jack, sounds like he's a full-time crypto guy now. Seems like a much better fit for him than social media guru when he's really doesn't seem to be that much of a social guy.
At least if for some reason it was integrated with Twitter, Tidal would finally make sense.
Yeah.
Because it would be the music service for one of the largest social media platforms on earth.
Yeah, playing titles in tweets, that would be huge.
Yeah, it actually makes sense. So, and I'm also, glad that whoever invested in Tidal initially got at least some of their money back because of the acquisition. So that's good, right? But look, who's going to run Twitter after Jack leaves?
I will run Twitter.
Twitter itself they're going to get Tay to run Twitter.
Yeah.
But actually, in his resignation letter, Jack announced that the new CEO would be Parag Agrawal, a guy who's been at Twitter for a decade and rose through the ranks from engineer to chief technical officer, and who has apparently been running doing a lot of Jack's job for a while already.
Yeah, he's basically the second in command.
Yeah, and he's also big into crypto. Don't forget that.
Oh, thank God. I was worried that Twitter become a huge anti-crypto place now that Jack's leaving.
Have no fear, Elliot. He is working tirelessly to integrate blockchain technology into Twitter, so you have nothing to fear.
It's gonna blow your fucking mind.
You better get that profile picture verified, or you're gonna look like a real idiot.
These are counterfeit apes. That's not his ape. I am the real ape holder.
Arrest this man.
This right clicker is going to jail.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it, but there is something that could happen on Twitter that could dissuade people from showing pictures they don't own the rights to. But it doesn't seem like a whole lot is going to change at Twitter. But for some reason, Twitter conservatives were very freaked out about how Twitter was apparently now going to be shit now that Jack was leaving, as if they loved him while he was there.
Yeah, this is very strange.
Their key piece of evidence was a tweet from 11 years ago.
Yeah. Already starting off real strong. Here's that tweet from Parag Agrawal, posted in October 2010. If they are not going to make a distinction between Muslims and extremists, then why should I distinguish between white people and racists? Pretty clearly a statement about how both of those things are bad. And also, you'll note there are quotation marks around the ends of that tweet. That's because he was literally just quoting a segment that aired on that night's episode of The Daily Show. Yeah, this is the best thing about Twitter is it's forever, and some random shit you post 11 years ago,
even if you're the new CEO of Twitter,
watching TV at 11 p.m. Suddenly becomes a big topic of concern 11 years later when you're now the CEO of that company. And yeah, it's not even clear that Agrawal is Muslim. In fact, based on where he's from in India, he most likely is not. So yeah, he's clearly just quoting a segment, but that didn't stop conservative commentators and even some politicians from quoting that 11-year-old tweet with stuff like this from Senator Marsha Blackburn. This is Parag Agrawal, Twitter's new CEO, and the person who's going to be deciding what kind of speech is allowed on Twitter.
Yeah. Conservatives, they also got really wound up over comments that Agrawal made in an interview last year where he said, "Our role is not to be bound by the First Amendment, but our role is to serve a healthy public conversation."
Oh my God.
But that's the most bland possible explanation for why social platforms have terms of service. But then again, the idea that the First Amendment only protects people from government censorship is something that these people seem totally incapable of grasping. Also, it's just a trigger word for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my amendment! Nobody else can use it except for me.
These same people, if you went outside their house and just were shouting "I love Satan, Jesus can suck my dick," they would get very upset and tell you to shut up. And
it's only for them, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
Same with the Second Amendment and everything else. Anyways, I don't know. Don't you people have a bunch of other places to post now? You don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
You've solved your own problem.
Yeah, why are you still here?
Getter, Parler, Gab, plus that Truth app that Trump himself is releasing any day now. You got Frank Speech.
Yeah.
You got them all. And yet you're still logging on to Twitter to bitch about Twitter. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Anyways, the one thing that I don't think this, well, not yet, that it's going to have
is it
an
that
effect
right
on,
to be forgotten thing where...
No, well, it's just people can't post photos of you without your permission, or you can be like, I don't like this photo because I'm in it.
So that's based around EU law.
Yeah.
Which, very interesting sort of trend in tech over the last decade where EU privacy laws have kind of just become global privacy laws
because they have to change it for
the
reasons.
EU is so fucking big that it's kind of pointless for apps to go by US rules and EU rules.
Yeah.
The EU rules, which are more restrictive, are just easier to enforce. But
I'll make a prediction. So someone at some point within the next 5 years, there's going to be a court case where they plead, probably successfully, that their NFT avatar is an extension of themselves legally, and so that if anyone else posts it, they are technically posting that person's photo, and it has to be removed. The avatar is an extension of myself, just like all of my other NFTs. It would be as if someone came into your home,
stuck a camera in my house,
and started taking pictures of everything to post it all over the internet.
Posting my lazy lion without my permission, that's like barging it on me when I'm in the dressing room at Target and snapping a bunch of pictures.
I am calling it now.
It's invasive.
Within the next 5 years, this is going to be a thing, and it probably will. They will fucking find. The judgment will be in their favor, and Twitter will have to delete if you post someone else's lazy lion. It's like posting a photo of them. It might as well be. It's their digital identity.
Yeah.
So get ready for that.
That would be cool. Then any footage of Twitter and other people's lazy lions would be all pixelated.
Yeah.
Thank God. I don't
Censored.
Don't have to look at that shit anymore.
Yeah. It would actually have the opposite effect. They'd be like, no, now no one knows about it. It's losing all the value.
Would you like to see my NFT?
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got a little bit more news coming up for you. This is a very slow news week, Thanksgiving and all that. But first, this episode is sponsored by Calm. For this ad break, we want you to take a break. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath. Sometimes we all need a reminder to take a little time for ourselves, and Calm can help. Calm is the #1 mental wellness app which gives you the tools that improve the way you feel. Clear your head with guided daily meditations, improve your focus with Calm's curated music tracks, and drift off to dreamland with Calm's imaginative sleep stories.
And if you go to calm.com/tech, you can get a limited time offer for 40% off a Calm Premium subscription, which includes hundreds of hours of programming. And new content is added every week. Over 100 million people around the world use Calm to take care of their minds. Sleep more, stress less, live better with Calm. And for our viewers, Calm is offering that special limited time promotion of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/tech. That is calm.com/tech for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library, or click the link in the description below. That is calm.com/tech.
And this episode is sponsored by Feels. Ooh, we're getting relaxed.
Yes.
CBD isn't about what you feel, it's about what you don't feel. Stress, anxiety, pain, sleeplessness. If you experience any of these things, Feels CBD is a safe and natural solution without any harmful side effects. Feels is a better way to feel better.
Feels is a premium CBD that will help you keep your head clear and feel your best. It's hassle-free, it's delivered directly to your door, and CBD naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. There's no hangover or addiction, and we both use Feels for back pain, for I got tennis elbow.
My sciatica.
And getting a good night's sleep, because
Yeah.
it's hard to shut off. Halo's out, Call of Duty's out.
Too many games.
And you're all hyped up after so many wins, because we all know that you're the best gamers, and it's hard to go to sleep afterwards.
You're all zooted on dubs. And
exactly.
You need to chill out.
So you take some Feels, and you'll be feeling great. You'll be able to finally get to sleep.
Yeah.
It helps us a ton, so it'll work for you.
Just place a few drops of the Feels under your tongue, feel the difference within minutes, or check out Feels' new mints if you want the added bonus of fresh breath.
On the go.
The thing to remember about CBD is that finding your right dose is important, and everyone's dose is different, so Feels offers a free CBD hotline to help guide your personal experience so that you find your perfect dose. The Feels customer service team is dedicated to making sure you get the best use of your CBD.
Joining the Feels monthly membership makes your self-care easy. You'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. Start feeling better with Feels. Become a member today by going to feels.com/newsday, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That is feals.com/newsday to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Feels.com/newsday.
All right, back to the news now with our next story. It's an update about Anom, the encrypted phone company used by criminals around the world to do crimes, which was actually run by the FBI the whole time and then used to track and prosecute criminals in several countries. It was the ultimate honeypot, basically criminals just sending their correspondence directly to law enforcement while believing that they were actually being super careful and sneaky about it. And it led to more than 800 arrests in 16 countries in a joint operation called Operation Trojan Shield. Even Anom's own employees didn't realize they were actually doing the FBI's job for them. And if you missed our earlier coverage of this, here's the video from 5 months ago where we first talked about it. But let's take a look now at a new article from Vice's Motherboard that looks into how Anom operated as a company before the big reveal.
Whoa! Videos, files, and other documents obtained by Motherboard lay out the bureaucracy and structure of Anom. When Rhys Kershaw, the Australian Federal Police Commissioner, spoke in a press conference about the operation in June, he said that law enforcement had been running the company. But these documents complicate that narrative and showed that the company seemingly operated somewhat autonomously. Quote, "We were never told that this project is going to be in the middle of this," one developer who worked for Anom told Motherboard, referring to the secret that the phones sent their messages to the authorities. Motherboard granted the source anonymity to protect them from retaliation. The developer said Anom management told them that their customers were corporations. Quote, "Those are our customers. That's what we were told," they said.
So that's got to be a little bit awkward, assuming they're telling the truth, which they very well could be. You get hired by a company selling encrypted phones. You just assume they're being used for practical, privacy-minded purposes by VIPs at big corporations, and then, whoops, turns out you were actually selling them all to criminal organizations and also unknowingly working for the FBI.
Yeah.
You might then reasonably fear for your safety.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Sounds like actually the only person involved in Anom who knew what was actually going on was its creator, a guy who made a deal with the FBI to avoid prison and who had the technical know-how and the existing network of criminal clients to make all this happen. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, everyone else was simply running a phone company with client lists and spreadsheets and reports and customer service and
so that's
everything
the thing.
else.
Now, if you're someone that works at this company, like, you kind of have to be like, we had no idea this was happening, because now I feel like my life is at risk because I've just sent a bunch of very dangerous people potentially to prison for a very long time.
Yeah.
Can I have some protection, please, Mr. Government?
You would hope so.
But back to the article. In all, the documents and other interviews show that Anom operated as a functioning entity in its own right, with systems for keeping track of its sales, lists of resellers, and which countries they operated in, and support for helping customers. That is, apart from the secret kept from its staff that the FBI and Australian police were using the system to monitor users. I didn't have any suspicion that it can be used by some organization like the FBI, the developer said. I mean, there's a little bit of like, sure you didn't, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to specifically what they were creating and deploying, like, there had to have at least been just a hint of this might be used for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, especially like last time we talked about it, like I think Motherboard actually got their hands on one of the phones, and it's like, it looks like a real phone, but it's all these dummy icons. You have to click on the alarm clock app to go into like the real UI.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about, doing it because everyone should have a respectable level of privacy or whatever. But then there's another thing where it's just like, you kind of know what you're making the phone.
You could just as easily believe you're selling this to like the CIA or something.
Well, I mean, they almost did. It's like one step removed, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, the people arrested in Operation Trojan Shield are starting to be prosecuted, and so far it is not going especially well. Seemingly due to the fact that privacy laws are different depending on the jurisdiction, and in some countries, what the FBI did with Anom might not actually be admissible in court. Here's Vice again. On Tuesday, a Finnish court ruled that chat messages secretly gathered by the FBI from encrypted phone company Anom can't be used as evidence against two particular suspects, according to a report from Finnish outlet Iltalehti. Although the ruling only directly addresses the prosecution of two people, the ruling could have a knock-on effect on other prosecutions against other alleged criminals who used Anom phones.
It continues, the specific ruling centers around Finnish rapper Ville Virtanen, who allegedly planned to give 10,000 euros to a drug dealer in Spain, and Kalle Kallinen, charged with money laundering. Virtanen's defense argued that the Anom messages were acquired via a secret coercive measure under Finnish law, according to the Italti report. The use of that sort of information requires the most severe sentence for the particular offense to be at least 3 years imprisonment. But the maximum penalty for money laundering in Finland is 2 years, the report adds. The district court found that the Anom messages had been obtained illegally from the individuals in Finland and Spain, and the correct permits required for the surveillance were not applied for, it reads. The prosecutor said he will appeal the ruling, the report adds.
So yeah, apparently under Finnish law, the methods that law enforcement are allowed to use to investigate crimes are different depending on how serious the crime is. And this kind of surveillance was found to be too invasive for crimes like drug dealing and money laundering. Also, this kind of surveillance in a lot of places, not the kind of thing you can just do and then ask for permission afterwards.
Oh, you were spying on our citizens?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if anything like this comes up in any of the other 15 or so countries that will be prosecuting these cases, and there's apparently hundreds of cases. But hopefully, at least with the people at like the top of the chain in these criminal organizations, the ones making all the money and pulling all the levers, hopefully they're able to get some charges that stick.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty big plot hole in this whole plan. FBI is if you're doing surveillance that is illegal in a lot of the countries where these criminals are.
Well, the FBI loves paperwork.
They do love paperwork.
Anyways, this was a particularly slow news week for tech due to the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales that dominated.
I didn't buy anything this year. Oh wait, no, I did.
I got gifts for my wife.
I bought 3 video games on the Epic Games Store.
I bought gifts for my wife. Because they were on sale.
I bought a race car, Ben. Well, I bought gifts for my wife.
But here's some product news that may interest you. A Nintendo Switch with a huge fucking screen. It's called Orion, and it recently got successfully backed on the crowdfunding website Indiegogo, though it apparently only took 285 people backing it for it to head to production. Okay. And it's not actually a Switch with a huge screen, but rather a kind of hilarious use of the Switch's docking capability that's usually used to play Switch games on a TV. In this case, the dock itself has a screen on it, so you're tucking your actual Switch tablet into a second, much larger tablet, which you then attach your Joy-Cons to.
I love playing video games. Yeah, so Orion's screen is 11.6 inches and 1080p compared to the 6.2-inch 720p screen on the standard Switch. So that is significantly larger, nearly 4 times larger. And it's an LCD screen, so if you have the newer OLED Switch, you'll be making a bit of a trade-off between screen size and screen quality. Also, this bigger screen needs its own power source, obviously, so you will have to either plug it into the wall, which defeats the whole purpose of this mobile device.
42 AAA batteries.
Or you can attach a big power brick, a USB power brick to the back of it with the included Velcro straps designed for specifically doing that. So you've got your screen with the Switch tucked behind that, and then a big fucking battery tucked behind that. You're working with something here.
Yeah, no, you're gonna get fucking swole playing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's gonna cost around $300, which is the same price as the standard Switch.
But you need the standard Switch.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an absurd product that solves a problem no one really had, but still very cool. And I love products like this.
Yes.
Like the monitor last week. That's just long monitor. Mm-hmm. No one needs this, but I love it.
Someone out there is really gonna love this product. Someone, or in this case, 200 people.
And most importantly, the Orion Switch big screen, it's a real conversation starter. If someone sees you out in public gaming on your big screen Switch, they're gonna know they're dealing with a real gamer.
Yeah.
Not some fucking poser tryhard. They're dealing with someone who is elite.
You're gonna be asserting dominance on the plane when you pull this thing out of your backpack.
You have to man spread
Yeah.
to play this. You literally can't squeeze in. It's too big.
Yeah, I'm gonna spring the extra $2,000 for the first class seat so I can play my outrageously large Switch with no issues. No, I love this. It's they should redo the commercial where the person brings their Switch over to the party on the roof.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And depending on the size of your Jenkos, you could still fit this in your pocket.
Yeah, maybe. So there you go. They need to make an actual carrying case for it that looks like you're carrying around like an assault rifle.
Yeah. Yeah, a little fiberglass briefcase that looks like it might transform into a
Put
gun.
it on wheels too, so you can drag it around. Mm-hmm. That's just my Switch. You guys want to play Overcooked? Well, I know I have a 50,000 milliamp portable battery in the back, but we only got about 5 minutes on this thing.
Every year or so, someone builds a top-of-the-line gaming PC into a metal Pelican or a Pelican case or something, and it's always just the funniest fucking thing.
Yeah.
So it's it weighs 30 pounds, and it's completely impractical, but yes, that is a GTX 3090 in there, and a 1440p 60 hertz or 120 hertz screen. Game anywhere you want. You just have to carry around this big fucking briefcase with you anywhere you want to do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like when people get it.
I'm glad it exists.
Exactly.
Anyway,
yeah, that's
our show.
Yeah, sorry, it's it's December. Hopefully nothing happens this month. It's looking like Omicron is not going to completely destroy the planet.
I mean, it's already in the U.S.
Well, yeah, we said that last week though. We were like, oh, hey, new variant just dropped, and they're saying that it might get. No, it's already here. It's already here.
It's absolutely. It's this every variant. They announce it, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll see. It's if it's big enough that people detected it in another country, it's already fucking here.
Also, South Africa really got the short end of the stick with this because they're just the ones who discovered and told everyone about it.
That's
and
really
the whole world's
up. Hey guys, our top of the line virologists here in South Africa, the country that deals with AIDS the most, so we have a lot of virologists. We found something you're gonna want to check out, and they're like, ew! South Africa's got a new variant.
Yeah, it really disincentivizes.
Way to go, guys!
Disincentivizes any other country for bringing up something more severe in the future.
Yeah.
Like imagine Holland is oh, we found something that's actually a lot more deadly and easier to spread. But if we tell people, no one's gonna come see the Rembrandt Museum.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, but
how are we gonna sell all these wheels of cheese if we get shut down by the rest of the world?
Yeah.
So far looking, I mean, it's obviously bad that variants are still happening and that we're still not back to normal after 2 fucking years. But at least it looks like it's not going to be as bad as it possibly is.
It is fucked up that the travel restrictions, at least initially, maybe they're going to change, but the initial travel restrictions are just Southern Africa, stay the fuck out.
Yeah.
But like, Europe.
Yeah,
keep
come on
coming
over.
It's
No
the same
problem.
fucking thing with like early COVID where like all the cases in the US came from Italy.
Yeah.
Or most of them did early on.
It really sucks too because like the fact of the matter is it was probably here at some point outside of the first person identified. But like imagine being the person in San Francisco that was like identified as patient 0 for this variant in the US and just like having to live with that, even though it's probably not true. But just like if it was bad, like there was a guy who was like called out in New York in the early days as like patient 0 for New York. And it's like, you have all of that on you, even though it's almost certainly not true and no one would ever know who the actual first person was.
I think the first person with this Omicron was like a guy that went to an anime convention. Like they contact traced it. They're like, if you went to this anime convention last week. Yeah, if you went to this anime convention last week, by the way, the one guy in America with the variant was just getting it all over the rest of you. So
yeah,
just a heads up. Also, anime is banned now.
Yes, if you see anyone reading manga on the streets, contact the authorities.
Stay away. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for Tech News Day this week. Be sure to watch our most recent episodes. We got a bunch of people that got frozen into a pub, but luckily they had an Oasis cover band to keep them company.
Said maybe.
Apparently this happens at that pub like once a year. Like I looked back and it was like this soccer team stuck in the pub 2 days this time. We also have another story about a Turkish dog who got
falsely accused
of a crime.
Framed.
And you hate to see it. Check both of those out. Leave likes all over the place. Subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.